In this tutorial, we're going to go over the fuzzy match tool. This is a more elaborate tool compared to some of what we've looked at, but it's an important one to figure out when you're working with text data. So it is located in the join bar, and you'll go and drag down fuzzy match. And then we will get a whole wide slew of options. First, we're going to want purge mode, so it compares all records instead of merely looking for the first collision it finds and working from there. And then we are going to specify which field we are interested in fuzzy matching on. Based on the instructions in the chapter, we should set the match threshold to 90%. And the field we are interested in is item name. Now, there are some options here for trying to match based on rules that Alteryx has pre-built into it that will do a good job at what they do. But in this case, we're working with some fairly unusual data, or at least nothing so predictable as what we have here. The data that we're going to be working with are the item names for various beauty products. So we have anti-itch cream and baby lotion 8 ounces and volumizing conditioner and so on. Because we don't have a good set of rules, we'll have to come up with our own. So for our match style, we're going to select custom, and then we're going to go to edit. This will give us a nice big pop-up. So in here we have our match style of custom. That means we're going to be changing the rules on it to define it in our own way. In pre-processing, you have the option to remove some commonly unimportant data. So oftentimes when looking at tweets or looking at various other things, the punctuation is just going to be noise. Knowing something is the last word of a sentence because it ends in a period can be helpful in some cases, but it doesn't really mean that it's a different word than it would be without the period. That's why you might want to strip punctuation. But in this case, we aren't stripping anything. It's going to all be there. Next up, for generate keys, these are the set of rules that you're going to be using for how you detect collisions or where you're looking for in collisions. We are going to look at the whole field case insensitive. What that means is that we're going to look at every letter in the field, and we're going to pretend that case doesn't matter, or treat it as though case doesn't matter. But we're looking at the entire thing instead of trying to break it up into words or syllables or something else. We want to generate the keys for each word, except for single letter words. We're going to ignore it if it is empty. And based on how large some of our names are, we're going to increase the maximum key length to 100. So that would allow words of up to length 100. Now for our matching function, we're going to have a few different options here. Key match only would be matching completely identically. The rest of these allow some sort of distance or difference measure, a way of saying how similar things are to each other. You'll note that Levenshtein distance is present in a number of these. That is one of the simplest means of seeing if texts are similar to one another. It works by counting the number of changes that would be necessary to turn one string into another, where changes are allowed to be substitutions, insertions, or deletions. It's how a lot of spell checkers work, if you've ever used one of those. And it also is how some autocomplete suggestions work. Not all of them, but it's how a number of them work. For this, we are going to select words and digits, Levenshtein distance. And we are going to leave, when using word-based match, also use characters, no spaces. Leave the others at none, and increase the match threshold to 90%. These are based on the instructions given to us in the chapter. In truth, you're going to want to play around with these if you ever have to do something like this. So I will click OK, and then I will drag a browse in and take a look at what I've got. I've got a set of, drag this up, some things that it considers matching. Anti-itch cream 1 ounce, anti-itch cream 1 ounce, anti-itch lotion 5 ounces, it to DH, because there's a typo, lotion 5 ounce. Little things like that, it's aligning, and it is saying, hey, these are the same thing based on our fuzzy matching rules.